All right, men, I know it's a topic you don't really want to have to tackle, erectile dysfunction. But believe it or not, you're not alone. About half of American men over age 40 have to deal with ED in one degree or another. Luckily, though, treatments are available that can help.
And joining us now to talk about some of those treatments is Dr. Casey McCraw, MD. He is from Las Vegas Urology. Welcome to the show, Doctor.
Hi, guys. So much for having me. I really appreciate it. It's such an important issue. And so I really appreciate you guys giving it a platform and getting it out there.
No question.
Absolutely. I mean, when it comes to health, the best thing to do is to discuss these things. So we're going to do that. Let's talk about ED. Nowadays, there are endless options to treat ED. And so, why should a patient see a urologist?
Yeah. So I think that brings up a good point. There are so many options. And, ED treatment is kind of like a shoe, it's not a one size fits all type thing. It's very specific, it's very individual based. And so the difference between maybe a urologist and a primary care doctor is primary care doctors are the gatekeepers for this. They can kind of try some of the initial treatments,
Mhm.
but when it comes to specifics on why this is happening to the patient and therefore maybe what specific treatment is needed, urologists are just trained more in that workup and in that treatment. So it really helps a lot to go see an expert.
Absolutely. It's not a one size fits all situation. So let's talk about the treatments that are available right now. If somebody were to walk in your office, what is available to them today?
Yeah. So, a lot of guys who come see me have already, tried the oral medication that we've all heard about, the Viagra's, the Cialis's. If somebody hasn't tried those are usually the first line things that we will try because they're conservative, they're pretty easy, they come with fairly low risk of side effects. If somebody's already tried that and failed, some of the other options would be a vacuum erection device, which is a device that kind of helps blood flow with somebody. And it's, again, very conservative. It's not an oral medication. I will say it's not the most popular treatment in the end that we have, but for somebody who wants to stay conservative, it's a great option. Something else are penile injection therapy, which sounds a lot worse than it actually is. We teach somebody how to actually inject the medication that's a lot stronger than Viagra or Cialis, and it really, really helps with blood flow a lot too.
Mhm.
Kind of one of the final steps that somebody can take is an actual implant, which is a device that we implant into somebody's body that allows them intimacy with their partner whenever they want, wherever they want, for how long they want. And so while it's the least conservative option, it's actually a really good option and has the
Hmm.
highest patient partner satisfaction rates.
Wow.
And I will mention kind of one more thing because I know a lot of people have heard about it. When we look at ED treatment over the past few decades, it hasn't changed a whole lot. And so it's been very exciting the past few years because there have been new treatment models coming out that try to take a disease state like ED and not just put a band aid on it, but actually reverse it so that the person's own body heals itself. And so people will see
Mhm.
advertisements a lot for something called shockwave and possibly for stem cells that are injected. And, the research for these things is still ongoing. So I will say it should be noted they're still experimental, but a lot of them are showing some really good promise in certain individuals.
Interesting.
It's interesting to know there's so many options out there, and I think it's great, Doctor, to have you on, to share these with people. Can we talk a little bit more about the penile implant? Because I know you wanted to discuss the different types. Are there different types?
Yeah, there are actually. There are mainly two different types. One is called a malleable implant, and it is basically just cylinders that go into the penis that are somewhat bendable. And so the person is always somewhat rigid. And it's a great device for maybe people who don't have great hand dexterity or for people who may be at a higher risk of infection because they have a
Mhm.
really low risk. And so, again, it's kind of not a one size fits all. And so, the people who get that, we kind of work up what they're going through and what they want out of their treatment. And sometimes we recommend that.
Mhm.
The other one that I would say is more popular is something called a three-piece model. And that's one that has cylinders in the penis and actually a pump that they can pump. Everything's on the inside. So if they were at the gym or in a locker room, nobody would be able to tell that they have this device in them. Basically, when they want to be intimate with their partner, they pump the pump. It pumps fluid into the cylinders, and they're able to have a good erection for as long as they want, where they want. And it doesn't change the sensation at all. It just gives them the function back. And so I find, a lot of times people will say, the pills work, but, they're not spontaneous. I have to take them and I have to wait an hour.
Yeah.
Or the injections, I don't like carrying a medicine around with me. And so that's why it's great because, spouses can go on a cruise and not have to worry about taking medication or anything like that. Or if the mood hits them, anywhere, they can be more spontaneous. So it really gets people back to where they want to be.
Doctor, we're running out of time. I want to make sure we get through a few of these questions. First of all, the risks. Are there any risks involved with this?
Yeah, so there are risks with any surgical procedure that anybody undergoes. I would say the risks for the implant are pretty minimal. And mainly people should discuss them with the urologist they go and see. Some of the common ones, there's a small risk of infection, and like any surgery, a small risk of bleeding, but they're very, very minimal. And so it's a very safe procedure that people can undergo.
Nice. And what about the cost, doctor? Does insurance cover this?
Yeah, so it's always a surprise. People come in and they say, "Oh, well, that sounds like a great product, but I bet it's so expensive because it's a surgery." And interestingly enough, it is the only treatment option that most insurances will actually pay for.
Wow.
So for a lot of people, it
Wow.
ends up being cheaper than having to continuously pay for oral medication or paying for the shockwave. So it's very
Right.
affordable for everybody.
And really quickly, if we want to learn more about a penile implant, where could we go?
So a really great resource that I direct all of my patients to is a website called edcure.org. It not only goes over all of the treatment options, including penile implants, but has resources to groups of men who have had them done before. So if people have
Yep.
questions about, well, how does it actually fit in you? Because I can, kind of all the facts, but it helps to talk to somebody who's actually gone through it. So it has all those resources. They can also give my office a call. I would love to meet with people individually, and I can be reached at 702-341-9000, Las Vegas Urology. And I can also have appointments on ZocDoc.
Awesome. Doctor, it's
Okay,
great
doctor,
having you.
thank you so much.
Thanks for joining us.
Thank you guys
if
for
you would like
having
to
me. I
learn
really
more-
appreciate it.
If you would like to learn more about what the doctor just discussed, visit edcure.org. The phone number to the doctor is right there on your screen. Boston Scientific, a proud sponsor of the Morning Blend.